ladies and gentlemen, welcome to RENEBOXYOUNG, a platform where we simply discuss, critique, analyze, we talk about sport of boxing in a level-headed, mature, coherent fashion. Subscribers since day one, recent subscribers, I appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks so much for tuning in to Flash Lives, premieres of my videos such as this, liking it up, sharing it up, tuning into the Flash Lives, all that good stuff, man. Commenting in the comment sections, playback family, salute. If you're new here, subscribe. If you love the sport of boxing, this is the place for you. And I definitely have to share this. Interesting news coming out, man, definitely, which is obviously regarding the sport of boxing, man. I want to get right to this. Let's get right to it, man. Let's just get right to it. So we got here, man. You can check here, link in the description, man, of the information that we're going to see. And let me just go ahead and kind of zoom out just for a little bit there. Yeah, so insider, link in the description. Like I said, you can check this article and, read it in your free time. WWE is contemplating a move into boxing. Co-CEO Stephanie McMahon says, man, really, 3 points in this article. WWE is looking at expanding its horizons. According to co-CEO Stephanie McMahon, McMahon said the company is considering making a move into the boxing business. The sport, McMahon said, is fractured. Wow. WWE, she said, has a history of streamlining an industry. So we got to stop there on that. I got to get my 2 cents concerning just those 3 points, man. One of those points as far as what McMahon, Mrs. McMahon, Ms. McMahon, I really don't know, when it comes to WWE, man, I really don't know. I mean, I guess she's, Vincent McMahon's daughter, but I don't know too much about the WWE. I don't follow it, okay? So, but what I do know is this, man. Dana White some time ago, I pushed videos on this concerning this when it came out, when it was fresh, Dana White also talked about considered moving into the sport of boxing as far as, doing some business moves, endeavors there in the sport of boxing, because he said practically the same thing, okay? So this is just a bad look, man. Honestly, this is a bad look. Now, you know me, man. I've been really optimistic, and, it seems like you have to be a hardcore fan to really enjoy what we're seeing in the sport, what we have been seeing for the past several years. Because there have been some great fights, man. You know what I'm saying? There have been some great fights. But it's more for those like hardcore fans that really know the ins and outs of the sport. I'm not saying I know everything, of course not, but I guess I know enough. You know what I'm saying? I know enough to know what are good matchups and, fun fights to watch. But I don't deny that there are big problems in the sport of boxing. You know what I'm saying? And this is what I'm saying here, man. For the co-CEO of WWE to say this, it's kind of a bad look, man. It really is. You know what I'm saying? It really is. So Dana White said it, like I said, years ago. And it's just, people are seeing it, you know what I'm saying? And it's not good, okay? It's kind of a bad look, man, definitely. So let's continue reading this here. WWE is contemplating a move into the boxing business. Okay, according to the pro wrestling firm's co-CEO Stephanie McMahon, boxing is a disjointed sport, man. McMahon said on a panel discussion at the 6th annual Wells Fargo TMT Summit. Okay, the world title landscape of boxing is this is so true, ladies and gentlemen. Whoa, the world title landscape of boxing is so fractured. It is hard for a casual fan to understand who the legitimate champion of a weight division truly is. Jeez Louise, and it's so true, ladies and gentlemen. And I've been saying it for years on this channel. Who cares about the freaking secondary belts? Because that's part of the confusion that it brings. And I've said it so many times that it makes it hard for casual fans to follow the freaking sport. As it is, we have like 4 main sanctioning bodies which have championship belts. And then you got the stupid secondary belts and the, third belts and whatever the heck they are. I mean, this is crazy, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't think that co-CEO of WWE, I don't think she really knows about the sport, but she knows enough, man. Isn't that sad? She knows enough to freaking say this kind of stuff. And ladies and gentlemen, WWE, and like I said, I'm not even a freaking casual WWE, but I know enough that industry is blooming, and it's been blooming for decades, ladies and gentlemen, for freaking decades. You go back, like before WWE was WWE, it was known as WWF, right? And at that time you had WCW. I don't know if you'll go back then, right? But that's when I really watched wrestling. When I had the chance, I would watch it constantly, you know what I'm saying? Monday Night Raw and things like that. It was fun to watch, you know what I'm saying? The Booker T days, the freaking Stone Cold Steve Austin days, that's what I'm talking about, and Goldberg, etc., those wrestlers. I would watch it and it was blooming. That's what I'm trying to say. In those days, it was freaking blooming, man. And now it still is, from what I understand, because I sometimes, I really don't have time, right? But I take a glance, a few minutes sometimes when there are events. Those stadiums are packed, and they're always packed. They're freaking packed, and they're doing it all over the place. You know what I'm saying? These events. So WWE, man, I mean, they know when it comes to, this is what I'm trying to say. Co-CEO of WWE that we're seeing there in this article, Mrs. McMahon, she knows enough to know about industries and, sports and if they're doing well or not. And for her to say this, man, I don't know if she follows boxing much. I got to reiterate that. But she knows enough to know that it's hard to follow because of all these freaking disgusting politics. And I've been saying it for so long on this channel. The same, complaint when it comes to sport of boxing. I got to repeat this. The world title landscape of boxing is so fractured. This is what she said. It is hard for a casual fan to understand who the legitimate champion of a weight division truly is. The 46-year-old executive pointed to the sport's four-bell era to demonstrate her point. Now, let me say something real quick, man. I honestly didn't even read this article, okay? Let me say that real fast. I didn't even read this article. I just saw the headline. I was like, dang, I got to push a video on this, and I'm going to read along as I do this video. I'm just reading this as I do the video, okay? So let's get back to that. So pretty much what I said a moment ago is what this is saying right here. The executive pointed to the sport's four-bell era to demonstrate her point. Check this out. Who's the lineal champion? Who's the WBC champion? Who's the this? Etc., right? I'll add on to that. Who's the that? You know what I'm saying? It's all over the place, McMahon said. Wow. I mean, this is so true. Let me, just to emphasize that point she's saying. This is a quick example. You got a whole freaking fiasco going on, regarding Spence, for example, like who he's going to fight next. People saying that, it's going to be freaking Thurman. They've been saying it for months, right? And then WBC comes out and orders it, whatever. But now we got a whole freaking fiasco going on with the WBA ordering Virgil Ortiz versus Stanionis. And, whatever fighter between them two is not doing it because it depends. And then Ennis, and then this and that, and it determines what Spence is going to do. That's why Spence is waiting. There's just a whole freaking theory going on about that. It's all over the freaking place. Now, let me say something real quick, man. I mean, I've said it before. Like, when it comes to, you go to BKFC, right? I mean, that's a sport that has not been around at all much long. It hasn't been around long, okay? UFC has. But what I'm trying to say is this, that BKFC, they got an interim champ belt. They're doing the interim thing, okay? But I respect that more because, that's where the best fight the best in BKFC, as well as the UFC. I don't know if the UFC, somebody can correct me on it or type in the comment section because I don't really watch UFC, but sometimes I do, right? But I don't follow it like that, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know if they have an interim champ belt. But what I'm trying to say is this. Freaking Feldman, okay? Salute to Mr. Feldman, the founder of BKFC, and Dana White. They're doing something right here, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I'm saying? They're doing things right in respect to championship status and championship level bouts. They are doing something right. I know a lot of people want to go out there and criticize, BKFC. A lot of people want to go out and criticize UFC. Matter of fact, it's funny. Shouts out to my guy, Callie. Cali Enigma. I've been rocking with him for a minute. I like his perspective. I like how he talks about sport, and he went live recently and he put a clip of Bob Arum. That was funny. Put a clip of Bob Arum saying some time ago. He was there with Ariel. Ariel is the guy, right, who has MMA Hour, who recently interviewed Bud. And, and Ariel was interviewing Bob Arum, and they were talking about the UFC. And then I saw the clip. It was funny, man. Bob Arum was criticizing the UFC. Those guys, they look like homosexuals. They're on the floor like homosexuals. They're on the floor like homosexuals. My impersonation of Bob Arum's horrible, but it was funny, man. I started freaking laughing, man. He was straight up. It's just a bunch of skinheads that watch UFC. And then Ariel's like, hey, I'll take that as offense. I take that as an offense. And then at Bob Arum continued, man, those guys are just, full of tattoos. 90% of those guys are white skinheads. Oh, man, Bob Arum is funny. He's one of a kind. But anyways, man, what I'm trying to say is that people may criticize the UFC, but it's blooming. BKFC, that's blooming. I said it when it started. When BKFC was birthed, I pushed a video on it and I said, this sport's going to bloom. It's going to flourish. And lo and behold, a couple years later, it definitely is. But what I'm trying to say is this: Feldman, the founder, I got to reiterate it. Feldman, the founder of BKFC, Dana White, UFC, you know what I'm saying? They're doing something right with these championship bouts. We cannot debate that one. You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly why Mrs. McMahon is saying this. You know, I think she's Vincent McMahon's daughter or something. Okay, but anyways, you know, but now let's continue. Boxing is not the only space WWE could be assessing as a potential acquisition, McMahon said, as any new purchase or expansion outside of pro wrestling would have to align with our capabilities. Speaking specifically on boxing, though, McMahon said WWE has experience in tidying up a fractured industry. Wow. Is it going to take that, ladies and gentlemen? Is it going to take the WWE to come in and fix these things? The freaking nonsense in the sport of boxing when it comes to politics and all that stuff? Wow, man. As it was how her father and WWE founder, Vince McMahon, yeah, so she is his daughter, grew the market-leading pro wrestling company. My father, Vince McMahon, respect, definitely. I thought it was Vincent, but Vince. You see, this goes to show how much I don't know about WWE anyway. Who was the chairman and CEO, obviously had the opportunity to roll up all of those different territories and create one major brand in WWE that is now gone from a regional territorial content play to a global media franchise. Man, now there may be a time to replicate what Vince McMahon did in the coming months and years in a new industry, boxing being an idea of one of them, she said. WWE has experience working with boxers during its pro wrestling shows. Yeah, as we saw in that photo, right? As Floyd Mayweather famously broke Big Show's nose during his prime years as a fighter. More recently, WWE recruited Tyson Fury for standalone events. It is unclear if WWE would bid for certain fights and promote them under a WWE banner. Wow. Or if it would attempt to build and sign its own roster of boxers. So, you know, it just pretty much stops there. Jeez Louise, ladies and gentlemen. Jeez Louise. I never think I would see this day now. You know, there has been criticism when it comes to, you know, influencer boxing when it started. I thought so, and I've said it too in videos when it came out, when Logan Paul and KSI started the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? That it looks like things are turning into WWE when it comes to sport, in certain aspects of the sport at least. Jeez Louise, it looks like it literally may be the case. Wow, man. I really don't know what to say. I really don't know how to react, but I think it's quite sad. But if they're going to fix it, though, if they're going to fix these things when it comes to the structuring and the sport of boxing as far as the best fight and the best more often, then I think that's great. But we'll see, man. Just imagine that, ladies and gentlemen, seeing matches. Just imagine. I mean, everything's premature. She's just speaking and speculating on these things, you know, when it comes to Mrs. McMahon. But we don't know how, if they're going to really do this, if they take a step towards getting into the mix of the sport of boxing. If they do, is it going to be under the WWE banner? Just imagine that, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, there's pros and cons to it. Of course, there's going to be people coming out saying that's a great idea. It's going to give these fighters a lot more limelight, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. I mean, it would be a great idea. Even if they did it under the WWE banner, and if there were really fights, championship bouts, imagine the limelight these fighters would be getting, these champs would be getting, you know what I'm saying? But then again, if it's under the WWE banner, are they going to stage a lot of this stuff? I mean, geez Louise, are they going to do like soap operas backstage, slap each other around, and I'm going to get you in the ring, okay, yeah, ho, ho, ho. You know, I mean, geez Louise, ladies and gentlemen, what is this getting to? Oh my gosh, I'm really anticipating to see what's next. So what do you guys think about this, man? Please read the article, link in the description, like I said. Man, I just had to share this with y'all, man. RENEBOXYOUNG, a platform where we simply discuss, critique, and analyze it. We talk about sport of boxing in level-headed, mature, coherent fashion. I appreciate each and every one. Hey, share this one up, man. Peace out, fam.